You know, it's sort of like heaven on earth for me. When I'm walking through this community, man, I know this is my heaven on earth. The thought of this place not existing scares me. No Phoenix in the world. Everything I'm about is because of this space that I'm in. And to see it not being here is a frightening thing. I'm a pastor here at the Zion Travel Baptist Church, but I've been doing community organizing work for 52 years. Most people call me the mayor of Phoenix. They know that I would bring truth to the issue. I wouldn't sugarcoat it, bring the rawness to something that's really happened. You know, so I've been doing that for a very long time. Now we're about to go to the oldest and only establishment. It was the only entertainment spot. Musicians would come down from the city. It's called the Blue Room. Yeah, they're doing a piece on me, and so I'm trying to show them the historical part of Phoenix, so we've been going all through the community. So it's Phoenix High School, original Phoenix High School. It wasn't as high. After Katrina, we wanted it to be 18 feet high because not only could be used for shelter, so if people had to leave, they wouldn't have to go so far. They could come here with some air mattresses and stuff to be in the school. But this is a dear old Phoenix High School. We came in and created a community park and built this restroom, built the basketball court, and we had 14 kids came in here and created a park because they didn't have no park in Phoenix. So, Grace won't go through. Gotta get it. All right. Got it. Give me a hoop. Appreciate you letting me get a hoop going. Plaquemine Parish, the state of Louisiana, is a boot. And there's a part of the boot that extends, we call it the big toe, that slipped out the bottom of the boot. It's Plaquemine Parish. It's where the Mississippi River connects with the Gulf of Mexico. Matter of fact, when I was a kid, I got baptized in the Mississippi River. We just marched right outside the church, walked across the levee, so it's real close. This river is really key and vital to everything that we are as a people. My ancestor was unloaded off a slave ship onto this land. All of our bathing water, it was the only swimming pool we ever had. Everything we do is interconnected and interrelated with this Mississippi River. I know we can go to at least 1865 to identify families being here. So this is home. After chattel slavery, one of the great things that came out of that experience is that a lot of plantation owners left the land to some of the enslaved people. Yeah, so land was key. Our ancestors paid a price for us to get it. They had to go through slavery, they had to go through abuse on the slave plantation. You know, our ancestors was raped. It was horrible what happened to folks. When I think about what our ancestors had to do to get this land, you know, and sacrifice they made, it made me understand I needed to be here. Because I had people all over the country was offering me places, offering me housing where I could have moved. But I said, nah, I gotta stay here, protect this land. So that's why I'm really fighting like I'm doing now, because we gotta protect the environment. We gotta protect our part of the environment. There's three questions that I want to pose to all of us. The first question I want to pose to all of us, what is our history? What is our history? We have a history of struggle. Well, it's time for us to tell our story. All my life, we've been dealing with hurricanes. You know, as a kid, a lot of hurricanes we wouldn't leave because my mother, you know, she's a strong-willed woman. She just didn't move for every hurricane. People leave, we'd be the only people here. I used to always tell family and friends, if you ever hear about people floating in the water, my mother and I. So when Hurricane Katrina came, she was looking at the news and said, "Oh, son, I don't like this. This don't look good." So I was like, "What?" See, and then she said, "Well, I'm not even happy staying in Louisiana." So when I called family members and told them, they said, "Oh, I'm scared of this hurricane, because if grandma leaving, it got to be serious stuff." They had over 25 feet of water in some areas. Here's this center right here. Here's a perfect picture right here. Look at the water. This building right there, water's up to here. See? Look at the high water brought this up. Look at that roof, how it's gone. So they'll tear that whole house down. This was the wind put that cow into the tree. That's serious wind damage, bro. When they can pick up a cow and put it in the tree. I'll park and we can walk to the graveyard. Well, when Hurricane Katrina came, it told us we had tombs in this cemetery that was way up here, all on the highway. I mean, bodies out of tomb. And so one of the things we had to do when we started rebuilding, make sure before we brought children down, that we bring all the coffins back into this community. And so we worked with FEMA to put people's bodies in the ground. And I'll show you some vaults they built. They put these numbers on it. So if you have somebody that have one leg or they have gold teeth, they'll have x-ray to let you know who that is. And so that was one of the ways where people identify bodies. And a lot of them, as they identify people, move them to their original spot. But this is my mother's tomb right here. This is where my mother's buried. And when I die, this is where I'm going. So this is my spot, also. The ancestors of Phoenix, this is their city. This is the city of the ancestors who helped make this community what it is. Second of all, what got us here? What got us here is about our ancestors and the sacrifice that they made for us to be where we are, to get the right, to get the privilege we had. We can never forget the struggle. Soon as they started opening up the road, and I came back to be a part of just seeing what I can renovate the house, how we can clear the land or gut this church out. We was having church service in here with no benches, no windows, but we still had church service in here. These were some students from Dayton, Ohio, volunteers that come to our community. The work they did started our rebuilding work. They came and started doing some of the work inside painting, and we made sure every homeowner participate in laying their foundation. So that's the husband and wife team. That was the first house we did. The book called Let Us Arise and Rebuild, it could be a blueprint for anybody else who's trying to rebuild after any hurricane. I think they can use the stuff in here to show you how you come together, organized by the community coming together and say, let us arise and rebuild our community. I was the advocate, trying to get better street lights, changing laws, but I never paid attention to the environmental laws and stuff like that. So after Katrina, I started understanding coastal restoration, what's happening with the climate, and that connection, especially with a hurricane.
Change is coming. A change is coming.
I started dealing with people who was experts in that area. They was telling me, they said, look, you can build all the houses you want, Rev. If you don't end up protecting the wetland, it's just gonna come destroy your houses. And then when I started looking at maps, I said, oh wow, this is serious stuff. We're losing a lot of land. So I'm like, okay, this thing is much bigger than just building houses. And so because I was ignorant to that process, I created a program connecting children to the environment. I showed them pictures of where we live, but I showed them pictures of what was happening behind the levee they couldn't see. That behind these levees, we're losing soil to water. That land is being lost.
You can win it in the right You can ask him not to call, but change is coming, coming.
That wetland got to be protected. You know, other than that, we'd just be underwater in another 20 or 30 years. Just to be an extension of the Mississippi River.
Well, why don't you guys just move? If you're at the brunt of climate change, why don't you get out of here? You know, what do you say?
If you know how many times I've heard that. Well, if I go to California, I'm gonna deal with earthquake or fire. If I go to other areas, I'm gonna deal with tornadoes. No matter where I go in this country, it's a natural disaster. You know, man, this is home. Our blood is in this land. And so, me leaving is not even a thought in my mind. It's coming down, I'll rebuild again. My grandfather always said, you have to bring power to truth, because truth is power. So, climate change and the environment stuff was some truth that we need to know. I just brought power to the truth. It wasn't nothing difficult to do. As a matter of fact, something key you needed. So it just became a part of what we're doing. My last question is, what do we celebrate? My brothers and sisters, we got a lot to celebrate. We got here because God was on our side. Nature is taking over. You know, you got to understand that if you do nothing, nothing going to happen. But nature continue to move. And so you got to work with nature. Climate change go cross race line. Climate change don't have nothing to do with sexuality. It affects all of us. Every generation have to be responsible. They got to understand climate change. But every generation got to make sure that the wetland is preserved. We talking about your family and your children having somewhere to stay. Make that your priority. We have to get back to teaching people the importance of the land. So I make sure my grandchildren come outside, walk on the levees, play outside. I want to make sure they got the mud on their hands. I want to make sure they know that this is your land.
And you've been praying and praying.
People say, man, you're not tired 53 years of doing this stuff? No, because I'm living. I had ancestors that died for this right, you know, so I'm in this fight. But long as the water is still not in the space where we at, we're going to be here.